Leaves are super simple and fun to paint, but they require the mastery of controlling the thickness of your stroke when using a round brush. To do this, just practice touching the paper with only the tip for a thinner stroke, and as you put more pressure on the brush, the stroke will get thicker. And if you put lots of pressure, it gets very thick. The bigger the brush you have, the bigger the variation in thickness you can get. Now try starting with a tip for a thin stroke and lightly pushing down until you make the thickest stroke, and then slowly lifting until only the tip touches again for a thin stroke. This is line variation, and this movement is what we use for making most leaves. Just vary the pressure on your brush. You can vary it as much as you want. Like here I start with lots of pressure, and then went to the tip, and here I altered it in much quicker strokes. This is great to do for practice. Once you get this movement down, you can try doing other things with your brush. Like here, I'm lightly pushing down from the tip to the middle, and then lifting again quickly without getting to the tip first. This makes a cute leaf with a rounded edge or even a petal shape. And here I'm doing something similar, except I'm pushing down even more for a broader leaf. You can also do one side of a leaf with a curved line and then mirror it on the other side for a white middle, and really just let loose and play with it and see what kinds of things your brush can do. We are going to be painting loose and expressively, so there is no wrong way of doing things. Just let go and practice using thin to thick strokes and simple marks your brush can make. Also practice making stems that connect with each other. This one I made with my number 6 round brush, but if this is hard for you, you can instead use a smaller brush like the size 0 round brush just for stems. Circles are also really fun and can be playful to make, and I love my 0 round brush for making tiny leaves easily. In the example on the left, I use a simple push down and then quickly lift technique for rounded leaves. You can also use your small brush for making simple outlines of leaves. This can be fun next to loose florals and should be experimented with if you like this style. Or you can leave a line in the middle of a leaf in a darker color, or leave white space by painting around it in 2 strokes like I showed earlier. Notice how I made the leaves end rounded this time instead of pointed by just using my brush differently. If you want to paint more realistic leaves, then get references and try copying them. I recommend to do it loosely and in your own interpretation, but it's up to you how realistic you want to get. With time and experience, you will find your favorite way of painting leaves. Just give yourself room to experiment and try new things. As you can see, there's tons of different leaves that can be painted. Some of these were inspired by references and some were made up. Take out a page and play around like I did here. It's up to you if you want to paint stems. You really don't have to, but practicing painting tons of different kinds of leaves to get more comfortable with it and to be more comfortable with your brush is a great way to start this practice. And notice that none of my leaves are perfect and look exactly like the last one. I always use loose and curved strokes, not rigid and straight ones or perfect ones, because leaves are organic, so just be sure your hand is loose when painting them. And if they look too cartoony, it's probably because you're being too rigid in your movements, and that's okay if you like that look. But if you want a more loose look, just relax your hand and make slight curves with your brush, and embrace your imperfections. One more thing to keep in mind when painting leaves or flowers, or anything really, is to let colors mix on the page. Painting with just one color is so boring, so drop more similar colors in while it's still wet for a richer and more beautiful painting. You can learn more about this and color mixing in my previous class that I made especially on this topic. Now that you have the basics of leaves down, let's get into florals.